So I started oil painting around 5 years ago, and when I started it was really stressful because there was so much information and knowledge around the subject that I just didn't really know where to start. But I want to cut all that. You just need one person telling it to you straight, exactly what you need and how to use it. It's going to save you time and it's going to save you money. So I'm going to tell you everything that I wish I knew 5 years ago when I got started. So here are my top 5 oil painting tips for beginners. So when you first walk into any arts and crafts store, or even when you're shopping online, there is so much information about paint brands, the types of paints that there are, that it can be so overwhelming and you don't really know what to get and what's suitable for your skill level. So if you guys are just starting out painting, I'd recommend going for a student graded paint like Winsor & Newton. I still use Winsor & Newton now, more so for my studies, my colour studies. So a small study like this that I would do before making a larger painting with one of my professional graded paints. But as you can see, it does still hold its colour really well. And it definitely just does the job without spending too much money on it. Now the reason that these paints are cheaper than other brands is because they've got less pigment in them and they've got more filler. Student paints are made with a lower pigment percentage to replicate the colour. So that's why you'll see things like hue in the colour name. It's the filler in these tubes that can affect the vibrancy of the colour and consistency of the paint. But overall, these are perfect for not wasting any money and practicing with colour mixing or getting started with oil painting as a beginner. If you're feeling a little bit more confident or you want to get started on something maybe a step above, Winsor & Newton actually do a professional graded paint. You may have seen these in the shops. These are actually full because I use them so much. I've actually got ones that have barely got anything left in them. I really recommend these. These hold their pigment really well and their vibrancy is quite high. So any painting that you do, you'll notice this brightness come from it. And yeah, I really do recommend these. These are not that much more expensive than the student graded paints. If you're interested in trying a more professional oil paint, then there's 2 specific oil paint brands that I highly recommend. So these include Michael Hardin's paints from London, and also Blue Ridge Oils, which are made in South Carolina by a dude called Eric Silver, and he personally hand makes them and packages them himself and sends them out to you. What is so fantastic about these 2 different paints is that their pigment load is so high and they don't have any junk in there. It's basically just a binder, usually linseed oil, and the pigment itself. And just by having 2 simple ingredients in the paints basically helps the paints to become more vibrant, a better consistency, more like buttery consistency, and they have light fastness. Now light fastness is basically if you were to put a painting on the wall in direct sunlight, it wouldn't absorb the colour of the paint, and you'll basically have a beautiful vibrant painting for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years if you paint with them well. But just while we're on the topic of oil painting, I want to let you guys know that this is not a sponsor. They are just brands that I have used and experimented with over the years, and the ones that I use and I'm going to stick with now. So give them a try if you like them or you've had experiences with them. Drop comments down in the box below, which might help other artists when choosing their oil paints. So the overall difference between a cheaper, more affordable oil paint and a professional handmade oil paint is the pigment load that's in them. This will change the consistency of the paint, the vibrancy of the paint, and how well it deals with light fasting at the end of its journey. If you want something smooth and buttery with a great vibrancy and you can afford a tube, I mean these are probably about 12 to 15 pounds per tube as an ultramarine blue, and this is probably more 4 to 6 pounds. I would always recommend going with this one only because the pigment is so high that it lasts so much longer. So let's talk about a palette. When we start with oil painting, what we tend to do is go into a shop and there's so many colours and it's really exciting and we buy them all. We then keep them forever and ever and ever because we never use them, because the whole point of oil painting is to be good at colour mixing, to create harmonious paintings. So if you're beginning, my recommendation for you is to start with a maximum of 4 to 6 oil paints. And the reason that this is so important is because it helps you learn how to mix colours well and to create a harmonious colour painting scheme throughout your painting. So if you're going to start with your 4 to 6 colours, here are just 5 of the colours that I would personally recommend that you use today or tomorrow and get started with. So the first colour that you should buy is titanium white. The reason for this is because it's going to be the brightest colour on your value scale, which will help adjust any of your colours that you need. The second colour that I recommend that you buy is a burnt umber. And the reason for that I will tell you in just a second. You should then buy an ultramarine blue, a cadmium yellow, and a red, or an alizarin crimson. And as you can see just from this demonstration here, it creates really clean, beautiful secondary colours, such as this green, this orange, and this purple. Now, going back to this burnt umber, if I was to mix this burnt umber with this ultramarine blue that I've already got on my palette, it's going to create a near black. And that's perfect because that's exactly what you want to help adjust your values to either get something looking quite dark or quite light, depending on the scene that you're painting. You can actually also use this colour to desaturate any of your other colours if they are too loud. The other thing that you can do is just use its complementary opposite, and this will desaturate the colour. So if you want to desaturate your green, you're going to add the red. If you want to desaturate the blue, you're going to add the orange. If you want to desaturate your purple or yellow, you're going to also use the complementary opposite for that. They are all the colours that you will need to get started. But if you want something a little bit more, this is what you should use. So as you can see in this demonstration, I've literally only changed one colour, and this is a teal colour. And just by changing the teal and mixing it with the yellow, you can see a difference in the green. So if you want to extend your limited palette, I'm going to share with you the exact colours that I use and the layout for them. And this is going to help you create some really beautiful secondary colours that you wouldn't be able to create with a limited palette. And you can achieve paintings and colours just like this. Next, I want to talk to you about paintbrushes, because if you don't have any paintbrushes, you're not going to get very far with your painting. I've got so many paintbrushes, and the reason is because I always keep the old ones because they come in so useful in a painting that you didn't know that you needed it for. So you can have a really sprayed, horrible bristle brush that will just be perfect for that tree that you're painting in that landscape. So the tip here is just do not throw away an old brush. Just keep them because you never know when it's going to come in handy. Even with super old brushes like this, and you can see that the hairs are starting to fray apart, you can cut them back or trim them and make them useful for whatever sort of texture that you're trying to achieve. So paintbrushes comes in all sorts of sizes, sorts of angles and different types of hairs, but it's because they all play a different role in painting. So first of all, what I mostly use for oil painting is something like this. It's a bristle brush. Never really say that word properly, but it's basically a hair that is super stiff to move, and if you try and move it or bounce it, it will immediately regain its shape. And this really helps when you are using oil paint and trying to push it around the canvas, because the hairs are so tight, it helps to push everything around, giving you a nice even coat or even some really nice textures. My favourite sort of being like these dagger brushes. You can get them in all sorts of shapes and varieties, but they're really good at just being able to paint and cut the corners and just being able to lay thick marks down. You can use the side if you really want to apply it, or for finer details you can just use the tip there. The other brushes that I like to use are these synthetic brushes. Now they're really soft fibre hairs that you can basically manipulate. If you see when I pull this back, it springs immediately, I can spray them apart. It doesn't really keep its shape as well. But these are so good at allowing you to put so much paint onto your canvas. So if you're trying to cover your canvas quite quickly, these are perfect for it because they will hold so much paint. And with synthetic brushes, you've got flats, you've got rounds, you've got filberts, you've got all types of different sizes and shapes you could possibly want. And these are really good for putting a lot of paint on the canvas at once, or for fine details. These are really good because they're so flexible. You can sort of manipulate it how you want it to go. So they all have their own benefits. And the major difference between these black handled ones and these blue handled ones was simply that these are super, super cheap from an art shop. I think a pack of 6 was probably about £2. And these ones are from Rosemary & Co. And these ones actually came in a pack of about 8, I think, but it cost me nearly £100. But if you look after your brushes well, they will serve you. I've had these for maybe 2 years now, and they're still in really good condition. As you can sort of see the tips here, I really do like take care of them. Whereas these ones will probably wear and tear after a while, but you can still hold them for a really long time, and they're so useful. You can also decide if you want something with a short handle or something with a long handle that's much, much longer. These are mostly for oil painters to be able to step away from the canvas and sort of see what you're doing, whereas these are very good for like traveling, if you like to do plein air painting. But I just like these because they store really well. So if you're oil painting, you're then going to probably want some mediums. And the whole reason of mediums is to help improve the flow and consistency of the paint, to improve the drying time, but also you can get mediums that thicken the paint to be able to create some really nice textures. So as you can see in this painting specifically, this is already about halfway done. So I've already used 2 layers of paint to get this far. And in each layer, I will always use my favorite medium that I've come across. It's Winsor & Newton's Liquin Original. This is the old bottle. You'll probably more likely see this one out about now. It's all very much the same, and they work exactly the same as well. But just using a drop, a tiny bit of Winsor & Newton Liquin Original, you'll feel the flow of the paint improve, and it feels more buttery and smooth. And it's just really nice to be able to apply that, and you can feel it under the bristles of the brush as well. But not only this, it speeds up your drying time. So if I'm doing a painting and I've used Liquin Original, within about 24 hours, I can expect it to be almost fully dry so that I can work on it the very next day. Now, if I'm doing something that I want some really fine details, some like really fine blades of grass, or I'm doing an outline, or I'm doing anything like that, I will use something like this, which is just a linseed oil, also from Winsor & Newton. You just put a tiny droplet of this on and it will just make your paint flow so nicely. But don't overdo it, because you're not trying to replace the oil paint and make it basically really watery. So the other thing I use is also from Winsor & Newton, and it's this Impasto Medium. Now this is perfect for being able to thicken up your paint. If you're doing highlights or something like that, you just take the lid off, you squeeze a tiny amount of this sort of white stuff out the tube, probably about that much. You apply it to your palette, you mix it in with your paint, and you'll notice the paint's really, really thick. You then just use the tip of your brush to scoop it up, and that's when you're going to start applying the highlight. So I normally do this for things like tree leaves, or if I'm making rock highlights, or if I'm making highlights in water, because it does 2 really important things. It builds up texture, and it also creates a shadow and highlight. And this just looks super effective when you stand back and look at your artwork and you see the textures build up and come alive basically in front of you. And lastly, but most importantly, the canvas. So when you go to the shops or you're looking online, you want to try and look for a canvas that's anywhere between 300 and 400 GSM. That's going to make the weave of the material stick together really nicely, and when you hold it up against the sunlight, you can't see any light through. You can also get these canvases pre-primed, and that's always something that's nice to have. You can either gesso it yourself, or the option that I go for, which is just apply a little bit of this to the canvas when you're getting it ready. So this is a Michael Hardin's Absorbent Acrylic Primer. So this is used to put a layer on top of the canvas, and it basically just stops any of your paint from seeping through the material so that the painting always looks really vibrant and you don't lose its colour. So this painting here that I'm doing at the moment has got one layer of Michael Harding's primer on it. And if you look really closely to this painting, you will see little spots of this come through, and it basically just enhances it and it makes the painting feel really warm. But you can get Michael Harding's in a whole ton of colours, but this is the colour that I recommend. This is a burnt sienna transparent colour. And the reason that I use this colour over any of the other ones is because if you think of a landscape such as this one, the majority of the colours in this landscape is green. And if you think of the colour wheel, opposite to green on the colour wheel are reds and oranges, which is exactly what this is. It's a type of red. So it just complements each other if you can see little specks of it come through in your painting. Again, not a sponsor. Everything that I'm showing you has been tried and tested hundreds of times over, and it's what I've been going with for years and able to create such beautiful paintings from it. I hope you found this useful. It's everything that I know about oil painting that I still use today, the fundamentals that are so important. If you've learned anything or have anything that you want to share with the group, please put your comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the next one.